John Eats Cheap, ready to do something I've never done before. My mom used to do it, my grandma did it. Homemade noodles. Mrs. Cheap and I like the little dry Klusky noodles. And we're gonna do some chicken and noodles and do a noodle off between dry noodles, homemade noodles, and frozen noodles. See, you know, if we're still making the right decision. I'm gonna try this. What better place to get a noodle recipe than a church cookbook? We're gonna use Twyla's recipe, which is pretty easy. It's egg yolks. I put a pinch of salt in there. We put these in the bowl. I got 3 egg yolks here. And we're just gonna, there's no measurement for the flour. You just add flour. So I'm gonna do that while mixing up. Now I'm only doing 3 because Mrs. Cheap and I don't need a lot of noodles. That's already getting really firm. You know what? I'm gonna go in with my hands here because that's getting pretty firm. So I think I'm gonna go to the countertop.
Now we're making just a little small batch.
Yeah, this is just like a test, you know? That happened much quicker than I thought and didn't take much flour, really. Like I said, I may have to add a little more egg yolk. Let me get my rubber spatula. I may be able to get just enough. All right, so I scraped just a little bit of egg out of the bowl, and I think I got just enough. I'm just supposed to knead this until it's really firm. And then we'll roll it out thin. It says thin as paper. Paper's pretty thin.
This is a follow-up to the base. We made the chicken stock base the other day.
Yeah, the chicken and noodles, just the chicken base or the gravy part. I think I'm gonna say that's about done. So I'm gonna just kind of get a little clean flour here. Well, it said put it up, roll it up into a ball. So I'm gonna get it into a ball. This is probably about 1 serving of noodles, kind of like what I was going for. It looked like a little biscuit. All right, a little more flour. We're gonna roll this out. I hope it works. Well, it's looking like floury noodles. Like I said, I'm just gonna do a very small batch because we're gonna be eating 3 different batches. This actually spreads out. This will make a little batch of noodles there. And I will say, you know, the people who always say, oh, it's easy. It is pretty easy so far. I'm thinking those are probably about thin enough, about as thin as I can go. Now, if I just had some way to cut these. Oh yeah, look what Mrs. Cheap found. A noodle cutter. For noodles, pasta, I hope this is easy. So, cutting the noodles. And actually, Twyla's recipe said you can use them right away. I know some people hang them up or let them dry. It said use them right away or freeze them. I could see, you know, the church ladies all getting together and just making a bunch of these at once. All right, I got my noodles separated. We better get our chicken base on. Here's our noodles. Here are our cooking vessels. Of course, I don't have 3 pans of the same size, you know, they stagger. So, but it should work for these. We get the noodles in the pot, cover it with broth, add our chicken. I don't cook them by the direction because I do it kind of like if you put it in a crock pot. You just kind of stew it until they're done. So let's get our pots ready to go. So we've gotten all of them up to a good simmer, a little bit of a boil. So I'm just stirring them up, making sure the noodles aren't sticking together. And then I'm gonna cover them. Noodles are ready, chicken and noodles. What, you know, it's a cold day. What could be better than 3 pots of chicken and noodles for 2 people? This is the dry Klusky noodles. This is the frozen Mrs. Reems and the homemade They're bubbly. Let's give them a try, huh? Frozen noodles. These are much thicker. Well, the flavor is good, but that's not from the noodle. Those are good. That's why I remember them. Because my mom sometimes would use the frozen ones. These are the homemade. I think these look about the best. I like those. So right now it's number 1, number 2 for me. I'm gonna have Mrs. Cheap try them too. See which one she likes. And now the dry Klusky. This is gonna be tough. I like those too. All right, I'm gonna go into the soundproof booth and think about my decision. Mrs. Cheap, give these a try. All right, I think we have a decision. Now price-wise, the dry noodles, you know, you get a big bag. That's pretty cheap, $1.50 probably. The frozen noodles a little more expensive. The homemade, you know, I use 2 egg yolks and half a cup of flour. You know, that's not much. That's pretty cheap. So price-wise, homemade, easy. Frozen and dry are the easiest, obviously. You just dump them in. But homemade, 5 minutes to make, that's not too tough. And like I said, you can make a whole bunch of them in one weekend to last you for a long time. Mrs. Cheap and I had a favorite. We disagreed on the others. I rated mine homemade number 1, dry number 2, and frozen at number 3 for me just because they're thicker and I don't care for the thicker noodles. Mrs. Cheap opted for homemade number 1, frozen number 2, and dry noodle number 3. So you know what? I think we're just gonna combine them all for one big pot. We got some leftover mashed potatoes from the other day from chicken. We're gonna have some mashed potatoes, chicken and noodles, the way we do it in the Midwest. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. I hope you can make this. This is the way I make it, and I'm gonna be doing homemade from here on out, I'm afraid. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Share with your friends. We appreciate that. Subscribe, click on the bell so you get notified when we have a new video. We do at least 2 videos a week. And we're gonna keep going. Nothing's stopping us now. We are doing it all the time. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. John Eats Cheap. Thanks for watching.